Artificial intelligence operates as the primary infrastructure of the global economy. Europe's strategy for securing its digital borders relies heavily on the law. By implementing legislative frameworks like the AI Act, the goal is to enforce local standards on global technology by regulating the code after it has already been written. This creates a structural vulnerability. Rigorous compliance rules can be drafted and signed, but they offer little leverage if the physical execution of that code remains dependent on foreign hyperscalers. This map tracks the flow of European data. Local digital workflows stream outward, terminating in data centers in the United States or Asia. Beneath the software layer lies the physical bottleneck. Market power is anchored in this layer of raw silicon processors and server nodes. Economic autonomy requires control over the entire supply chain, owning the physical energy grid, controlling the silicon processors, and setting the cultural standards. Without owning the physical hardware, European technological sovereignty is reduced to managing the terms of service on assets owned by global competitors. The foundation of this stack is the physical base, the local compute architecture, and the massive data centers required to run it. The partnership between IONOS and QAnt offers a blueprint for rebuilding this base by attempting to bypass foreign silicon dependency. Traditional silicon routes electrons through a complex maze. QAnt's photonic processor uses straight, frictionless beams of light. Integrating these chips directly into local cloud infrastructure creates a self-contained compute ecosystem with significantly higher energy efficiency. This efficiency is a requirement for survival. The AI boom is placing a massive physical drain on global power grids and water supplies. Data centers currently consume up to 6% of global electricity and require trillions of liters of water annually for cooling. Tech monopolies often move these intense environmental impacts abroad to protect their local green marketing metrics. This is known as Scope 3 emissions relocation, outsourcing the pollution generated by high-intensity compute to other geographies. To feed this energy hunger, tech companies are even funding the reactivation of dormant nuclear power facilities to guarantee a dedicated, continuous electricity supply. Whoever controls this massive energy-efficient compute infrastructure holds the power to dictate the growth of the digital economy. Reclaiming the physical base provides the foundation for the next layer, the economic engine. Owning the hardware allows a region to master the industrial dynamics of its own market. Germany leads in precision engineering, yet it consistently fails to scale these technologies into global monopolies because it builds on rented infrastructure. When you rent your foundation, your growth ceiling is set by your landlord. This is the pilot trap. Companies build cautious, isolated use cases that never coalesce into a unified platform because they lack the sovereign infrastructure to support massive, rapid expansion. In contrast, the United States and Asia concentrate capital to deploy massive, identical infrastructure globally, scaling a single solution across billions of users instantly. To compete, Europe must move toward the agentic industrial enterprise, where AI systems autonomously manage entire workflows rather than performing single tasks. This transition requires digitizing decades of legacy industrial data and engineering knowledge, integrating it into a single, unified system. By creating hardware-agnostic operating systems for robotics, Europe can control the logic of industrial automation, even if the physical robots are imported. This allows a central software platform to command diverse robotic fleets, ensuring that the economic value remains with the system architect rather than the hardware manufacturer. Engineering expertise is only economically viable if it is concentrated into a globally scalable platform. The final layer is the cultural capstone. If AI automates the how of production, it places a premium on the why, shifting power to those who set the creative and ethical standards. As the physical labor of execution is commoditized, the only remaining value lies in curation, style, and perspective. This shift collapses traditional management structures, reforming them into dynamic networks, where a single creative author can direct an entire production chain. AI filmmaking is the first medium where this flattened hierarchy is the standard. It is a technological reset that allows for entirely new production workflows. Female creative leaders are currently using this reset to design workflows that bypass the historical biases of the traditional studio system, becoming the architects of this new grammar. By giving individuals the power to instantly manifest complex imagery, AI connects raw human thought to the collective unconscious. The translation from an internal prompt to a high-fidelity visual occurs with extreme speed, collapsing weeks of manual labor into seconds of machine processing. However, this individualized authorship faces a direct threat from the unchecked scaling of tech monopolies that prioritize metrics over human values. This growing moral void has prompted global interventions, like Pope Leo's encyclical, binding industrial AI scaling to fundamental human dignity. Diverse authorship and ethical frameworks are the only things that prevent this new medium from simply automating and scaling old systemic failures. Digital sovereignty is not a legal status. It is a physical, economic, and cultural reality. This is the sovereign stack, photonic hardware at the base, an industrial platform in the middle, and a human-centric ethical layer at the summit. When these layers communicate seamlessly, a region can process its own data and value without relying on external hubs. To achieve this, Europe must stop focusing solely on mitigating software dependencies and start concentrating capital into physical and platform ownership. Building this architecture requires an intense industrial pivot on a continental scale. Regulation without ownership is effectively surrender. True independence comes from combining owned infrastructure with your own ethical standards. Europe faces a binary choice: remain a regulated workbench for foreign technology, or build the stack and become its sovereign architect.